And we are live. Welcome into episode 3 of Woody Lou Sports and You. It's been a while since we've been with you guys. Dan, how's it going?
Braxton, we were just saying before during our production meeting pre-show, it's been probably a month since you and I saw each other. So it's a pleasure to see you. It's been too long. You look fantastic, and back with you, our great listeners here, Woody Lou Sports and You.
Yeah, we were fired up to be here. The last time we spoke, Dan was on his way with a backpack to the land of the unknown. Dan had that go. Obviously, you made it back, so a bear did not eat you alive.
No, a lot of people were concerned when I told them I was going to go backpacking in Monongahela National Forest in West Virginia. A solo backpack trip. Was not eaten by a bear, and I saw the first snowfall of the year. Wasn't prepared for that, but made it out of Spruce Knob, the highest peak in West Virginia.
I think you buried the lead there. You were solo.
Yes, solo backpacking trip, just me in the wilderness.
I don't know if you really let that be known last time we spoke about it. I was assuming you were meeting up with some college buddies. There's some friends I didn't know about. I did not know you were going by yourself.
I went, yes, it was a solo trip. So I was at a good friend's wedding. Again, shout out Cody and Emma. Congratulations again.
Shout out Cody and Emma.
In Salem, Ohio. And then on my way back to Savannah, I did a little backpacking excursion by myself. My friend Tyler, he was very concerned. He's a West Virginia native. And knowing I'm from outside Boston, he's like, you city boys, you don't quite understand. He had me thinking I was like scaling K2 or something, talking about like the wind. It was not that bad.
How many nights?
It was a 2-night trip.
So you spent 2 nights in the woods.
I did.
Fair enough. No banjos.
No, there's no deliverance. I was kind of nervous. I will say I was a little nervous.
I'm from Eastern Kentucky, so I feel like I'm allowed to say that. I think of an appropriate amount. I was fearful that you going up to that neck of the woods might be different for you, considering your Boston roots. Your Notre Dame and Celtics attire would not lead me to believe that you could honestly handle 48 hours in the hills of West Virginia. But I'm glad you made it out safe.
Yeah, someone in this outfit you think wouldn't survive in the mountains, but people do forget. I did grow up hiking New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, the Presidential Range, so I kind of know what I'm doing.
Fair enough. So you went hiking. You had the wedding. I went out and I went on a backpack excursion, you could say, into the training areas of Fort Stewart with our producer Colin, who's taking a comp day today. So we're running solo, or just us two without our third wheel. So that's unfortunate. So we really have no one yelling at us about what to talk about. So today might get a little off the rails. Maybe the sports is a little light and we're just kind of catching up. But shout out Colin. I hope you're having a great time in Disney, not earning your wage here.
He's with his family, having a good time, the most magical place on earth. We're happy for you, Colin.
I would hate to be at Epcot drinking around the world right now and not talking about sports. That'd be miserable.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. I'm just joking. So yeah, we had that. We had training at Fort Stewart for 2 weeks. So obviously we couldn't record then. But now we're back. Our schedule hasn't been super regimented, and we apologize about that. We're trying to get back on some type of track. I would sit here and tell you a day to expect us, but again, we're just going to disappoint you. We're big disappointment guys here recently, so we apologize about that. All right, so you leave, I leave. In the midst of all that, we had a World Series final, Dodgers, Yankees. You got any opinions on that off the bat?
It was a great World Series. Game 1, one of the most, I would say, electric baseball games I have watched in quite some time. Goes to extras, 10th inning. Freddie Freeman, just an incredible postseason on one leg.
I was out. I guess the game 1, was that the grand slam?
Freddie it was game 1. Yeah,
of course.
Walk-off grand slam. It was shades of Kirk Gibson, 1988. And I think the stat he had, going back to when the Braves won the World Series, 6 consecutive World Series games with a home run.
Yeah, Freddie, Atlanta Brave great. He decided to take the money and run to the Dodgers. I'm sure there's some more nuance there I'm not capturing, but as a Braves fan,
you wouldn't.
He took the money and run. He's Canadian, so American loyalty probably doesn't mean much to him. but he's a good guy. His son's going through a lot. And he does a lot for the sport and a lot for charity and stuff like that. So I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
I hate the Dodgers. I know last podcast talked about not being big hate guys. Sorry, don't like the Dodgers. I don't love the Yankees, but honestly, I think on our last show, did I not say I was projecting a Yankees-Dodgers World Series and I got laughed at? I think I got mocked.
No, I don't think you got laughed at.
I got mocked, I think.
No, you didn't. No, you were not. That was, you look at Vegas, the books in the desert, that was the odds-on favorite for the matchup. You were not laughed at. You laughed at me because I wanted a Dodgers-Yankees World Series. And you said that's just you. Like, you can't say that as a Red Sox fan.
Oh, yeah, I did. I remember that. Yeah, that'd be like me saying I want Louisville to win.
Correct.
In the Final Four, which I would never say. Yeah. So Yankees, they didn't pull it out this weekend. I was with my buddy Max, who's a Yankees fan, and he wore his Yankees hat while we were in Charleston. And I didn't realize how many Yankees fans lived in South Carolina. That was impressive to me.
Were they also wearing Yankees hats, or they were talking to Max?
No, he couldn't walk 5 feet downtown without someone saying, "Oh my gosh, go Yankees!" or "Haha, we love the Yankees." Yeah, it's like they love New York City so much that I guess they've just moved everywhere but the city.
It's too expensive.
And I'm sure they were there. They've been through all the stuff with the Yankees. I'm sure they're not just hip pocket fans who just picked it up. I'm sure they're really diehards, and those pinstripes probably run deep in their bloodlines. Or maybe not, who really knows. So we had the World Series. That was what it was. Dodgers won. The Braves are going to have to figure out something as a Braves fan to get over that hump. Really, we got to get over the hump of just the NL East getting through Philly and all them. But transition now. So we had the World Series. I think we had a big competition here last week. A big one-on-one competition on the country saw unfold for the presidency.
Yeah.
How did you spend your election night?
I was asleep at 8:30.
Okay.
So I was not following at all. The big board, the map on your CNN, your MSNBCs,
sure,
your Fox News. So I awoke to the election results, and I'm not surprised.
Really?
No.
Yeah. So I think I was pretty convinced that Harris and Walz were going to win. I ended up getting food poisoning from Subway, the 2ABCT Subway.
You got to be careful. Actually, Braxton, I forgot about our legal disclaimer, so I'm gonna jump in right now
because Subway to sue us if you say anything
right now. I apologize to our listeners. Now, again, the views expressed by the hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Department of Defense, the U.S. government, or any of its agencies. The information provided is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. No attorney-client relationship is formed by providing this information, and nothing herein should be relied upon as legal counsel. For legal advice specific to your situation, please consult a qualified attorney. Now we got that housekeeping
the US
out of the way.
The U.S. government does not hate the Dodgers. That's just a view expressed by myself.
Yes.
So I'll just clear that up.
So now that we have that out of the way, please continue with what you were saying about Subway.
Okay, so Election Day, Tuesday, we got into work 6:30. Didn't really have a opportunity to eat breakfast. So around 9:30 or 10, I went to the Subway, connected to the gas station. For the people at home don't really know what we're talking about. I should have been aware of a slight situation when they only had flatbread and the whole grain bread.
And that's a tough selection.
Only 2 bread choices. And then as far as the vegetables, they only had lettuce, tomato, pickles, and onions, of which I got all of them.
It's pretty standard. What else were you hoping for? Like banana peppers?
We didn't have onions. We didn't have banana peppers. No, we didn't have. Oh, we had lettuce, tomato, pickles, jalapenos.
Gotcha.
Sorry. No onions, no green peppers, no olives if you partake, no spinach, bare bones crew. So anyway, I got my chicken bacon on flat with all the ingredients I just said they had. Things were going good until about 2:00 in the afternoon.
And were you in the field?
No, this is at work.
Okay.
So from 2 to 6 on Tuesday, not a lot of stuff got done in the office because I was in my other office in the same building down the hall taking care of business. So I was really going through it.
Got your wife in the chat asking if you're talking
new
about
setup. Yeah. So episode 3, new setup. Our producer, he's not here, but we knew he was going to yell at us if we didn't change the setup up. So Dan worked hard on that today. Thank you.
We were much more comfortable.
Thank you for knowing. Yeah, I'm on the couch now. But so yeah, I was hurting. Get home. Kaylee made a nice dinner. Ate it. That was a mistake. The dinner was great, but I wasn't over.
To be clear.
Yeah, I wasn't over what I was going through. I fall asleep around 9. Kaylee's still locked in.
Yeah, of course.
We're in bed. She's got Fox dialed in. I think she stays up till 1:30. I pass out. I wake up at 3 because I had to use the restroom. I get on Twitter and I see people are freaking out. Trump won. I pull up on Fox. I see that they're projecting that. Obviously, it's Fox, so like they're going to project as early as possible. They're probably the first ones that did it. They said he was going to win. I didn't know what to do with myself.
Well, you were in the bathroom.
No, so I didn't have to go to the restroom at this point. But it's 3 o'clock. I'm trying to wake Kaylee up. She's out of it, not playing ball. So I go to the bathroom. I didn't know what to do with my hands. Right, so I'm in the bathroom, not going number 2. But I had all this time and I was wide awake. I'd be at work in about 3 hours.
Some porcelain.
So I shaved my head. I thought, new regime in the White House. I'm gonna do a new look. Shaved my head. Took like a 30-minute shower. And I was probably dressed ready for work at 5. And then Kaylee came out, noticed my shaved head, made me coffee, and that was my day. But we got to work, and there was like a little difference in the air. Like people were, I think everyone was kind of shocked with the results. Obviously, it impacts us as service members because that's our commander in chief. So there's a lot of vibe shifts and just a lot of opinions, kind of like healthy opinions getting spoon about. So it was cool. But yeah, so that was a big thing that we missed that we weren't able to talk about. Also on Tuesday, well, I guess it would have been last week, Monday, college basketball season started.
Yeah.
Got any strong thoughts on that?
I'm excited. I mean, again, we missed the entire college basketball season last year in Poland.
It was very difficult.
We watched games. I know you grinded Kentucky basketball early in the morning.
Those midweek Tuesday night, like 10 o'clock games home were like 4 a.m. games before it was rough. So I didn't get to dive in as much as I wanted to as far as watching it. Kept up with it through podcasts and other things.
So yeah, excited to be back. Have them on at reasonable hours. Notre Dame basketball, they are not what they once were. The great coach Mike Bray retired 2 or 3 years ago. So I've been a bad college basketball fan as far as following my alma mater.
I think we got to change that this year.
Yes.
There's no reason we can't be fully dialed in.
I agree.
I'll be in the field for all of February and the first part of March, which are, some would argue, pretty critical weeks in the college basketball season. So that's cool. Not mad about that at all. But obviously I'll have to find ways to keep up. But
I do love this early season basketball where you have like the non-conference play, like the the ACC Big Ten Challenge, SEC, ACC. So we have a big matchup coming up between Kentucky and Duke. And I will say this, I don't like Duke. I don't want any mistaking of my allegiance or fandom. Don't like Duke. Okay. Don't like them at all. However, has the number 1 recruit in the country. He's tagged as a generational type player, Cooper Flagg, from the state of Maine. And New England, a lot of homegrown talent, not much. So there are a bunch of prep schools where players will do post-grad years. They come from other parts of the country and play there because there is a pretty good boarding school, prep school, athletic conferences in the New England area. Yeah. But as far as homegrown talent, Shabazz Napier, who played for UConn, he's a Boston guy, but
I have nightmares of Shabazz Napier.
That's a thing. You weren't expecting me to bring up him, were you?
No, I got nightmares of him and Kimba, though.
That's right.
Yeah.
But Cooper Flagg.
You texted me about Cooper Flagg.
Yes.
You weren't even talking about. I don't think you realized that Kentucky and Duke were playing, but you just shot me a random text. You're watching Duke right now. Cooper Flagg's legit. Do you remember what I said back to you almost immediately?
I don't. I forgot. I'm sorry.
So not worried about him. And that opinion.
That's right. I do remember this now.
Opinion has not changed. I'm not worried about Cooper Flagg. I don't know if. So, yeah, Kentucky plays them on Tuesday. Before we get to that, so play on Tuesday, Champions Classic. You got some really good basketball. You got Kentucky, Duke, and then Kansas, Michigan State. They're leading off the night. And then Kentucky, Duke are are finishing it off. I like the Champions Classic, and I like the preseason games. You had Gonzaga and Baylor. They blew up Baylor by like 30, both top 10 teams. And then you had Gonzaga or Baylor, Arkansas last night. However, I would argue, like, who knew that Arkansas and Baylor was playing last night if you weren't like super dialed in? Because you're in the middle of football. You're in prime college season right now. So I almost wish they would push these kind of more marquee games, like as football's phasing out, kind of push them more to January.
Like post, like, because we have that kind of doldrum between conference championships and then bowl season.
So like the first weekend after conference championships should be when you have the Kentucky Dukes, the Kansas and North Carolina just played. Like those games, I think should be saved for the nation to really watch it, because I feel like the more casual fans, like, you might follow a team, you might just like the sport. You don't really transition until after the football. We'll get to that, Gavin. So, but yeah, so Kentucky plays Duke on Tuesday. Kirk Risa, he's our player. He's from Estonia on Kentucky's team. We played Bucknell on Saturday after the press during the press conferences after the game. One of the reporters asked him, is he excited to play Duke? All that. And he's like, I'm really excited to play Duke. I know Kentucky Duke matters to the fans of both programs, story programs. He said, I also want to congratulate Cooper Flagg on his #1 draft pick, since it's already been decided that he's the best player in the nation.
Whoa, I did not. That's awesome.
An immediate shot.
I love that from Estonian.
An Estonian who also wears number 77 because he wants people to know he's better than Luka Doncic, or he hates Luka Doncic, so he wears his number in some weird form of like.
Am I missing like an Estonian, Slovenian?
I think they played each other in some FIBA matchups, and our guy Kerr, he likes to talk trash, so he's throwing shots. But basketball is back. I'm obviously a little more privy to basketball just because Kentucky football historically hasn't been much to look forward to. So you look forward to basketball season, get to this point. Hey, I can make the transition.
It's his first year, new coach.
Mark Pope. Pope is hope, as Amy said in the chat. So I think he's great. We're scored 100 points in our last two games, our first two games. But yeah, I'm excited for the matchup. I don't think we're going to get blown out by Duke. Duke might beat us, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. I could see anything happening. I'm not going to really be upset about it. But also this weekend, as Gavin says in the chat, the fight on the plane. Did you see this?
No.
Auburn was playing Houston. Yeah, I believe it was Houston. They were flying there. Like, as soon as the plane lifted off, two reserve players, I think it was a freshman and a senior, get in a fight, an assault. So bad they had to turn the plane around, land in Auburn.
Same team,
teammates, and they just had to pass those guys off to the authorities, and they had to relaunch the plane on their way to Houston.
So the reserve, he's got to go. Like, he's a bench. Like, does he like?
As a freshman and senior, when I looked at the notes, I apologize for not being all the way up on Auburn's roster, but they were reservists. They weren't starters or anything. Just two Joes just. They're upset.
I feel like a fraud now from the outfit I was wearing during our last show, or the first episode, with my orange hat and PFG, where I know nothing about Auburn basketball.
Well, that's the thing. You're honestly no harm in that, because like most Auburn fans, I think typically
that's gonna be good.
I think most Auburn fans, they jump on what's convenient. So football's great. They're all in on that. With Bruce Pearl coming to Auburn, obviously he's got some life rejuvenated in him. So now they're a basketball school apparently now.
So is Alabama, #2.
Alabama's a basketball school. Those Final Fours are hard to find for them, but I guess they're basketball schools now. I guess Kentucky can go 10-2 and we're a football school, but hard to find a national championship. But whatever, that's another conversation.
I think it's a good segue though into the college football playoff, talking about football versus basketball schools and Alabama.
What is a football school now? There's so much parity; it's hard to even really dictate. Like there's. You had Georgia, Alabama's an everything school. Okay.
I'm just salty at Alabama because Kaylee is kicking my ass tonight in fantasy football, and I'm salty. So I'm going to throw some shade at Alabama.
Yeah, and Kaylee, she finally looked at her fantasy today, and she's like, she saw that she was beating you by a lot, and the reason she said she's beating you, Dan, is because she actually checked fantasy like on Wednesday, and like she said, she made some key pickups and drops. So she did some roster moves, and that's the reason she's beating you. She did not mention the fact she's beating you is because Jamar Chase went for 55 points she doesn't. It's not just that Jamar went for 55. It's because she picked up a new defense this week that she's boat racing you.
And I have to, so I've taken. I'm in 2 leagues this year. One where Braxton's the commissioner, and I don't think I've ever told you about this.
I don't know.
But I am taking fantasy very serious this year. Took the season off last year because we were in Poland.
Yeah.
But the year before that, I'm in a league with a bunch of other buddies from the Army, active duty reservists, and it's popular, as you know, that last place. So to encourage everyone to compete throughout the season, not like pack it in, update your lineup so that there's no easy weeks, if that makes sense. A punishment for last place.
Okay.
Our punishment was the last place person had to sign up and take in person the SAT.
Were you the last place team?
I was the last place team.
So you took the SAT?
Yeah. So on May 6th, I'll never forget this.
You're already a lawyer at this point. It's like 2 years ago.
Yes, it's May 6th, 2023. So
someone who's already done well on the LSAT and is a good test taker.
I have a degree from the University of Notre Dame and a Bachelor of Arts and a law degree from Boston University.
And how did this SAT go?
It was, oh my goodness. So I took it at Jenkins High School in Savannah. First thing, so I get there. I like to drink. You guys see me.
Were you sober when you showed up?
So it was important date, 6 May 2023.
Okay.
The night before, Cinco de Mayo. I went out with some friends after work. We went to Rancho Alegre, a great Cuban restaurant, not Mexican, but great Cuban restaurant.
Some irony
in
sure.
Savannah, and they have these awesome Coronita margaritas.
Okay.
Like massive. It's like cartoonish how big these are. So I was sweating tequila.
You celebrated Cinco de Mayo at a Cuban restaurant.
Correct.
Okay, dude. Sure.
So I get up there. I think doors open like 7:30. So I'm there like 7:15. First thing I notice is basically every other car in that parking lot is nicer than the Mazda CX-5 that I drive. So that's what I'm starting off with.
Oh, reliable.
And then I am not in great shape.
Sure.
But I realized where I am. And I was like, I can't end up on a watch list or anything. So I didn't talk to anyone. And I just got in line, had my ticket, went to the test room. And then it was a debate of what am I going to do? Because I really just wanted to fall asleep.
But you had to put up numbers, or the boys were going to pick a new punishment for you. Probably there had to be some stipulations on your performance.
Well, I took pictures of like the school to
not the
show
test.
that I went. No, not the test.
But
there was no you just had to go. There was no rules about.
So they were taking your time, because I feel like I love the punishment idea, but what's stopping you from just like forking over the $100 to take the test and then just snoozing?
There was nothing.
Right. Okay.
But consider a guy. And I was like, I can't just fall asleep because there's a good chance I'll start snoring. Like, this is a big day.
You're a competitor.
Big day for these kids.
Yeah.
And I also figured, well, if I'm not going to fall asleep,
you got to compete.
What's the fastest way to like just this to be over? Like, what's going to make the time pass? Right. It's like, I'm going to take it. I got a scholarship. I could get a scholarship to the University of Georgia.
Were you getting like the stuff in the mail when you sign up and you put your email, like schools were emailing you?
Mm-hmm.
Georgia offered you a scholarship?
I scored a 1330 out of 1600.
So I took an ACT. So that's good?
Yes.
Put that in ACT numbers for me.
It's probably like a 3031.
Really?
Yes.
You got scholarship offers.
I did better. So it turns out, hey, for all the kids listening, going to law school really improves your comprehensive reading score. I did better on the reading portion than I did when I was in high school.
So you got smarter as you got older.
Yes.
That tracks.
Yeah.
I feel like people should never stop learning. Wow. So you could be a Georgia Bulldog and bark at little kids and do all the things that Georgia grads do. Or Georgia fans do. I don't want to put that on all the alumni of Georgia.
I'm thinking about it because, I didn't have Greek life at Notre Dame. Like, maybe, I rush.
Could you have gone – would they honor that scholarship since you already have a degree?
Probably.
In theory, could you start a second life where you just take the ACT or SAT again,
I'm
and
thinking
then
about
go
it,
back
so
and get an
I'm
undergrad.
not really liking my job right now, so I'm thinking about it.
Go get like a physics degree and just like teach high school physics and just 180. Fair enough. I don't even know how we segued into that.
We were talking about fantasy.
Yeah, okay. We don't have any punishments. Ours is a trophy league that I still haven't bought. I went and bought some going away gifts for some of the soldiers in our company, and I don't think we're going to be using that establishment for our trophy in our league.
No.
I don't think I can afford it. We're gonna have to do a GoFundMe for our trophy. That place is too high.
It's just gonna be like buy your own PCS gift.
It might end up. If you want the trophy, if you want the trophy that bad, so you and Collar, I think y'all are in first.
I don't know. After this week, I'm getting boat raced.
Poor Kaylee. She's doing so good. You can have more than one undergrad degree. Yeah, Kaylee, probably so. We might get Dan might be a Georgia Bulldog here soon. Anyway, so yeah, fantasy not going great for me. As you know, I am the commissioner. I have the most points scored in the league, and I'm sitting at 5-4, about to be 5-5. But I have the most points scored.
This week?
I had my father, which I think he's won 2 games all year, and this was a great week for Baker. Decided to have 8 points, while I benched Kyler, who went for 29.
That hurts.
It's miserable. It's really my life, though. It's really been the whole shtick of my fantasy, my roster management. Because you could argue I built a phenomenal roster where the bench and the starters are having such great weeks, but my roster management of knowing who to play and when has not been great. I don't really know if it's my fault or the players' fault. I'm going to put it on the players because the players have to perform. I put them in position to play well. They got to do it when their numbers called. But that's
you missed probably how many weeks? 3 weekends you were in the field?
I have to get service. I had some spots.
Right.
Yeah, I had to make some runs to get some spots to get the service. But yeah. So anyway, we're talking about football and basketball schools and the parity, which is college football playoffs. So obviously yesterday was Saturday. Alabama destroyed LSU down in Death Valley.
Ole Miss beat Georgia. The SEC is tight.
No one knows what's going to happen. You know, Kentucky apparently is the only school that can win in Oxford, so that's exciting. Georgia, you know, we were at a buddy's house watching the Georgia they were Carolina fans. We were watching the Carolina Vandy game, and there's one guy in the living room because everyone else was in the backyard watching the games. And we walk into the house. There's one guy sitting there watching the Georgia game, and he just looks depressed. He's just defeated. And the game
doing like this.
Yeah,
one of these.
And it was still like early third quarter. Game wasn't like necessarily out of reach, and he was just standing up, or he was transitioning from sitting down, standing up, just yelling words that we can't say on the podcast about the Georgia Bulldogs. And then he transitioned that hate into talking smack to some Clemson fans about how much he hated Dabo.
Clemson fans.
Yeah, he just started taking shots at people. Started talking about how much he hated Dabo Sweeney and
Dabo.
It was kind of, you know, it kind of reminded me of what I was talking about Dabo in episode 1. But his hate was even stronger than mine, so that was cool to see.
What was he saying about Dabo?
Pretty much how Dabo has no character. He doesn't care about his players. He's selfish. He weaponizes Christ, I think, was his go-to line. So some harsh allegations.
It sounds like he had a few beverages.
There were some beverages drank responsibly, obviously, but he also, I think,
weaponizes Christ.
I've
never heard that one before. I
was on his side for most of it, but he didn't like me pronouncing his name Dabo. It's Dabo. Dabo Sweeney. And he hates the players and he weaponizes Christ. I put that on a t-shirt.
That's incredible.
Poor guy. But so yeah, Alabama beats LSU. Name, image, and God's likeness. It's a good comment.
That's a good one, Gavin.
I've lost. This has gone off the rails.
This is me, producer Colin.
Producer Colin's not here. He'd be giving us the awfulest look right now if he was behind the screen. So that happens. Georgia loses to Ole Miss. You have a situation now. Texas A&M's number 1 in the SEC. Really anyone's ball game. There, you could have a situation where you have a 7-team tie at 6-2, 10-2 teams. So you have like a 7-way tie if everything kind of goes chalk. And I think Tennessee has to win. Texas A&M has a 1 loss. So I think maybe if they lose to Texas,
last game, that's last regular season game,
November
Thanksgiving
30th.
weekend.
So that put people at 6-2. You'd have a big thing. I don't know how it's going to play out. I'm not going to try to break that down. In the ACC,
Miami, the horseshoe finally fell out of Cam Ward's ass, and they lost to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, thank you for acknowledging that because I don't have a lot of stock bought in Cam Ward or Miami at all. I'm not going to really buy into a program where it's a party. They don't have any culture. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things to do in Miami, and like college sports isn't the biggest thing to do right now. It had its moment, back in the 80s and the U and 90s. But
not having a on-campus football stadium for me, it's just they take a bus.
There's no
and you get buses from like the fraternities and sororities out to it's probably like 45 minutes away. The Hard Rock.
Yeah, Hard Rock is just not a good place to watch a game. They got beat. It's Georgia Tech, right?
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Georgia Tech
in Atlanta.
Georgia Tech. So they beat them. ACC, I guess now that slides SMU up to number 1 in the ACC, which me saying that out loud sounds just really dirty and wrong because I don't know why SMU is in the ACC. Then you got in the Big 12, BYU still standing strong to my knowledge, unless something happened out tracking.
Yeah, they're first place. Colorado is coming up, though, after some early season losses. Prime. Coach Prime.
I'm not buying stock in them either. They talk too much, but they might be good.
They might have the 1-2 pick in the draft.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna go on record now for the people listening on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. If Shedeur Sanders gets drafted by the Titans, I'm going to be a free agent. Yeah, I'm calling it now. So that's on.
Remember
record.
This on 10 November.
On record, I'll become a free agent if the Titans draft Shedeur. I do not want that. I don't even want to call. I don't know what I would call it because I think Shedeur, he's a good kid. He's a good quarterback. But I'm just really fearful of the Titans are already becoming a joke of an organization. The way the product we're putting on the field, we can't do with any more distractions than we already have. And like Gavin said, I don't think Shedeur is that good. I think he's okay, but the system that he plays, he has his dad. It's just everything's built for him right now. I don't know how he would fit.
He has the best wide receiver in the country as well, Travis Hunter.
He does, and
he's always had him too at Jackson State.
Correct, and then. In the competition he's playing, they're just putting him in a pro-style offense in an organization, a bunch of pros where there's people getting money. They're feeding families, and they care. You can't really – I don't want to say he bullies, but, there seems like a sense of bullying between, Shedeur, Shiloh, and Travis Hunter. It's like them against the rest of the team almost. They're the guys, and they don't need to get that confused. He goes into a pro organization where people are feeding families, and they care a lot more. You're not going to be able to put – you're a rookie. So I don't know how he'd respond to that, and then – Coach Prime would obviously have his fingers on it a little bit. So
does Coach Prime come to the Titans?
No, gosh, no. They'll give Brian Callahan another year at least, but I think we need to do a clean sweep. The Prime rumors to the Cowboys is my favorite because I think you're going to see a hard transition to that now that Dak's hurt. They can't talk about Dak now that the bigger networks, who we respect and love, of course.
Thank you.
If you ever want to call, bigger networks won't be able to talk as much about Dak Prescott, so there might be a hard transition to Coach Prime to Dallas. I think that'd be a funny one to talk about. As you see them just continue to go down, I think they lost to the Eagles.
And I don't think this is a hot take at all, but Dallas is not winning anything until Jerry Jones gets his fingers out of football operations. You hear him on the radio talking he was like an O coordinator, or he thought he was.
He's rich is really all he is at this point. He's rich and he's rich. He was going on about how he's the players love the tours that we host in the middle of game day and all that stuff. The players love it. They would never talk bad about it. They love having their privacy intruded on by all the tourists who come because no real fans even go to their games. The Davos. So the college football playoff, the rankings came out. The rankings, when they come out this coming week, are going to look, I think, 180 from what we saw. We didn't really mention the Big Ten. Ohio State's still going to be standing strong in their position. Oregon, rather.
Oregon won. You got Penn State, IU, which is no one saw that coming.
So the Big Ten right now, you're looking at Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Indiana, who's 10-0. They still have Ohio State on the schedule. It sounds almost dirty to say because I'm an SEC guy, but the Big Ten race is really interesting. I think you have to credit that. And then having Michigan not being involved in it makes me even happier just because there's a little stank around Michigan right now, the way everything went out, College Stallions and Harbaugh jumping ship. But Michigan's out of the race. You got those 4 guys. Indiana, this is their uncharted territory. Penn State continues to prove they can't win the big one. That happened while we were out. They continue to lose games that should matter, but It's gonna be interesting to see what Big Ten does and who ends up in that one slot.
I mean, right now the projection, and it's going to change completely, as you said, this coming Tuesday. But the first rankings that were put out, the bracket had Notre Dame, Penn State, and as a Notre Dame fan, like they're just getting stronger. They boat raced FSU this weekend, 52-3. I know you're laughing, and we had this conversation already. FSU,
Solid win, man.
Joke program, but I like that first round matchup. Because again, Penn State they have not proven they can win the big game under James Franklin.
Were they seated higher?
Yes.
I mean, it's still going to be a whiteout in Beaver Stadium.
Correct.
It's probably going to be snowing. I don't know. The conditions will probably be not great. Yeah. Well, okay, but it'd be a cool environment. I think that's a really cool part about the college football playoff is seeing these home game atmospheres.
That's going to be incredible. Playoff games on college campuses. That's, I think, for me, obviously the expansion to having 12 teams, but that first round is going to be awesome.
They're home games, but how are they doing tickets? So will the home team have their normal ticket allocation? Do you know if they're going to be splitting it 50-50? Like, how are they going to do the ticket allocation? Like, yes, it's going to be at their home stadium, but do you know if
question? Like, if you're a season ticket holder, like, I would only assume.
So think about Tennessee. I guess Tennessee comes to mind. Obviously, Tennessee's home crowd is electric. But if they're playing insert whoever in the playoff, is Tennessee getting all the they still give like the 20% whoever to the away team, or is it going to be who controls that? Is it the university? Is it the college football playoff? Like, who owns the ticket sales for that?
That's a good question. I would hope that it's like any other home game because that's like.
You earn that right.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of hosting a first round playoff game.
I'm interested to see how they end up doing that. I mean, because that can make things different. Because it's a home game, but because in college sports more so than any other sport, in my opinion, in college football especially, like the home field advantage makes such a difference. If they end the college football playoff, maybe this is out and we just don't know. Our show prep might not have been up to snuff, but
Producer Colin would have been very helpful for this segment.
Colin, I hope you're enjoying Hollywood Studios, man.
I mentioned the characters. I hope it's great.
I hope the castle is still standing. Let us know. Give us a report. But yeah, like if they end up doing the 50% sales, or however they want to do it, it's going to kind of not take it out because you're still at home and you're going to have your routine. All the pregame stuff's going to be the same, which gives you a leg up, but. If there's a little more fans in there and you see some orange and blue on one side, switch it up a little bit, and that'd be interesting to see. That's really our college football roll-up right there. You got anything else to add?
College football, I mean, it's exciting. As far as
it's that time of year.
The conference races that are going on right now. So got Army, one undefeated.
Navy's dropped. Navy dropped to Notre Dame.
Yeah, they got boat raced by Notre Dame.
Yeah, so...
but we could still have back-to-back weeks of Army-Navy with the AAC Conference Championship and then the Army-Navy game.
Does President-elect Donald J. Trump make his presence known at those games?
Yeah.
There's no way he doesn't, right?
That would be a brouhaha.
Back-to-back weeks, too?
Joe's not going to be there.
Oh, dude, come on. He's going to be setting up conditions for Trump to come into office. That'd be funny though. But yeah, Army's doing good. I think they're still ranked in the top 25, which is exciting for them.
They got a big matchup with Notre Dame, Yankee Stadium, 100th year anniversary of the Four Horsemen.
Y'all love playing in baseball stadiums.
Yes.
Fenway Park.
Yes.
I feel like you always see
Wrigley Field against Northwestern.
I don't like it. That's my stance. I don't like it.
Why's that?
It's just weird.
It's not the best viewing experience. So I went to the Boston College Notre Dame game at Fenway.
Yeah.
2015. Tickets were very expensive.
But do you get a good view? Like, are good? There's not good seats, I don't feel like.
I was in the right field, like grandstand.
You got the foul pole in your way? Like,
no, I didn't have the foul pole in my way, but I was so far away from the game in an end zone.
Fair enough. So yeah, I mean that can be weird. When we were at the Citadel this weekend, I thought it was interesting. They had wrestling match on the USS Yorktown.
Oh, cool.
So they had, I think,
like on the flight deck?
On the flight deck. Oh, see what Gavin has some intel real quick. Sorry to interrupt. Tickets are allocated to season ticket holders. The rest will be bought through the university. The away team is to buy through second source like seat. So essentially kind of the same thing with season ticket
I think we
holders.
should hire Gavin as a producer. He's helping us out big time.
Gavin might get on the payroll. We might have to reallocate some funds.
It's coming out of Collins'
Yeah,
paycheck.
and Gavin's not taking a comp day. It's a 4-day. He's not taking a comp day. He's locked in.
Yeah.
We need Colin. I hope you really enjoy.
Colin, you're on the hot seat.
Hope Animal Kingdom's fun. I hope it's worth it. But we can manage that, Gavin. 7. That's minimum wage. It might go lower. So anyway, they had the wrestling match. So to your point, I don't like the football games on the baseball fields. Or like the wrestling match on the Yorktown. They had that Michigan State Duke basketball
Fleet
game.
Week.
Yeah,
like,
I think
was that in San Diego?
It might have been, but it was on the carrier. I think that stuff's cool. It's different. I mean,
it's cool. But, like it had to be windy.
It was,
and they say it too, like in the Final Four games when they have them in like AT&T.
depth perception gets all messed up.
Depth perception's messed up, but even though it's indoors, you can still get like things affecting the ball.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. I thought that was neat from the Citadel, especially for a smaller school.
That is pretty cool.
Also,
did you go to it?
I did not. I saw pictures.
Well, how about you tell us about your homecoming weekend at the Citadel?
Yeah, so it was my 5th year reunion at homecoming. Citadel Bulldogs played the Chattanooga, or the Moccasins or Mocs, wherever they are. We lost that game. We're now 4-6 in the Southern Conference, but that's not important. So we get there. We had the parades. They do all the things. It was fun to be back. When we were in the open barracks, go to the cadets' rooms, I didn't realize how much we hated West Point. Now there's a lot of, they had like the West Point insignias that they put on their hats and stuff upside down. So there's a lot of West Point hate.
It's pretty disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily, we don't really have beef with West Point, but
kind of like a little brother syndrome, no?
See, that's why I don't want to do it, because it makes it feel like we have little brother syndrome. So West Point hate, but it's cool going back to the rooms. A lot of Trump flags.
Yep.
So that tracks. Yeah, it tracks for the demo at my alma mater. So no, it was fun. They pulled a fast one on us, because for the football game, they sold the tickets. When you bought the tickets, it was through like they had sections off for like each year group, right? So for the class of 19 year group where we bought our tickets, apparently they've moved the student section from one end zone to the other end zone. So I didn't realize this till we got there. We'd go on the field, they introduce us, and we go.
That's awesome.
We got to go on the field, they introduce us, and we go to your seats. I don't even know where our seats were. I just bought them on the website. Sure. Go look up where the student section used to be when I was a cadet, was where our tickets were. Row 52 out of 54 rows.
You're up there.
We were up there. Extremely windy. We made it to halftime.
Yep.
The decision was made at halftime.
Did you bring the girls?
Girls didn't. They didn't make it. My parents watched them. They weren't up for it. There's some. The night prior did not set conditions for their naps to be in a way where it worked out. Because Friday night we burned the house. We burned the town down. Me, Kaylee, my roommate Max, and some of our other buddies. We went out. We don't have the stamina that we did when we were back in college. So we started off. We went downtown. Went to Blind Tiger. No free endorsements here on the show, no free ads, but Blind Tiger. Transitioned that to this bar called AC's, which is like it's a freshman bar.
That's one I see. So it's kind of,
it's a freshman
blind
bar.
eye to the IDs, or pretty accepting of Jackson.
The line out there is pretty long to get in, and it's not because of necessarily what's inside. They do have like $2 Miller High Lifes, which that's pretty electric, but so we went to AC's and moved from there to another bar across the street with one of our buddies who lives in Charleston. And then we ended the night getting pizza. So we made it to about 1 in downtown, and then we Ubered back, and then we walked back home, went to sleep. I woke my daughter up through my actions. Maybe it was a little too loud. So Kaylee was up all night with her.
Oh no!
As I was asleep, so that was not a good moment for me. So I apologize for that. But that didn't that her waking up didn't ruin the weekend. But we quickly realized that we did not have stamina, and pretty much like knocked us out of the fight for the rest of the weekend. Yeah. I'm still recovering from it. I've been just drinking coffee right now just to stay awake. But I got one question for you. This is a hypothetical. Fair or foul, hypothetically, if you were at a homecoming and your school's basketball gym was open and you went in there just to check it out and may or may not have put up shots on the basketball court. Fair foul.
Man, I think it's pretty awesome.
I think it's awesome too.
I mean, what's your? I think it's like it's a great story and it's fair, but what are you getting at?
I was just curious if like you were walking home and the basketball court was open and you went inside and there's a basketball conveniently placed and you picked up the basketball and maybe you shot some threes, some free throws just to see. Hypothetically, you were there for like 10 minutes tops.
Okay.
And then you went on about your business. Put everything back where it was. Like, is that fair or foul?
In a legal sense?
No, just in general, fair or foul.
No, it's for me, it's fair. No, I mean, it's no harm, no foul. Like, there's no like malice or you're destructive.
Intent's big. There's no ill intent, no criminal intent.
No.
Necessarily.
But I don't think a trespass requires a intent element. Again, not a legal podcast. This is not legal advice.
Would you say if like if someone had the opportunity to do that, would that be cool?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool too. I don't know anyone who did that, but that would be pretty sick if you were able to go to your alma mater's gym.
Oh, we have foul in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if people were to do that, that would be foul. I don't know who would have done that, but I heard some stories that people were given the opportunity to go in there. I don't know if they did or not. But I think that'd be cool. We had some stories about that floating around campus about people may or may not have gone into this gym to shots and had a pretty good jumper and were, reliving the intramural days. It would be cool if they were given the opportunity for sure. Also like when you think about it in terms of like at Citadel's small school, what if like you're a Duke student and you did that at Cameron Indoor? Are the implications like it's even cooler? The implications different.
It's the same quote unquote offense, but if you're a Dookie,
you can't pass that up, can you?
And you have the opportunity,
and no one would be mad at that guy, right? Like you'd almost be mad if they didn't take the opportunity. I feel like
if you were an alumni, you would be upset if another alumni didn't take the opportunity.
If they're like, "Hey, Cameron Indoor was open," and
I'm sure someone has a hair across their ass for someone doing that, but I don't want to be associated with that person.
I'd say the court of public opinion would say, like, "What are you talking about? You had to do it."
Yes,
you had to. Yeah, so that would have been cool if people got the opportunity.
That'd be good. I mean, a jury of your peers, so.
Yeah, that's true. 12 of them last I checked.
That's right.
Yeah, they had to be in agreement, right? That's a thing.
Unanimous verdict.
Unanimous. Yeah, I hate to have a hung jury in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Just like a hung jumper. But yeah. So no, homecoming was good. Okay, so I guess you would. No one will ever know. So yeah, it was a good weekend. Charleston. Every time you go back to Charleston, I remind myself how much I just want to live in Charleston. And also how much I can't afford to live in Charleston. So that's always a good wake-up reminder. The bar scene is still alive and well. These kids, I've only been out of college for 5 years. These kids dress drastically different than I remember.
All right, let's get into it. Because I have been out of college even longer.
Yes.
And I can't relate to, even though I'm probably going to go back. I mean, actually, it's a good thing. I could go back to Georgia as on my scholarship.
Let's play it. So you crush the SAT.
Yes.
You got a scholarship. Mm-hmm. So you'll have some running around money when you enroll. You'll get a cheap apartment. You'll have classes are paid for. So you got money to go to the bars. You don't have to worry about fake ID. So you go to the bars.
What am I wearing? I guess because if this will not at an Athens bar.
To fit in as a guy, you need a couple things. You're going to need some fitted pants, breeches. And we're at Georgia. We're in Athens right now. So I think for you, all you would really need are a pair of boot cut jeans, a pair of insert any type of boots, some Tacovas, some Ariats, whatever fits your fancy, and a polo, probably a Georgia polo, tucked in with a belt and a hat. You're good.
Really?
The girls are a little different.
Oh.
We won't have that problem, but what you can expect to see is not a lot of cloth.
Uh-huh.
And it really makes me sad because I feel like you know how you can look at people and tell like they put a lot of effort into what they got going on?
Sure.
I feel that with a lot of the things we saw, there was a lot of effort, and you just want to like talk to the kid because they're kids.
Yes, children.
They're 21 in theory,
mm-hmm.
But just talk to them and be like, hey, you don't have to present this. Your personality is probably great.
Yeah,
I'm sure people would love to get to know that before necessarily you feel like you have to go out and freeze because you're wearing nothing and it's probably not 100 degrees outside, so you can probably put some layers
they got
on.
a pretty good liquid layer on them, sure.
Yes, that is true. That's fair. But no, the scene was weird. I felt very old to only be 27. I felt like I was 67 going out there. The yawns come a lot sooner.
Yes.
I can remember in college, like I didn't yawn until it was like 3:30 in the morning. I finally found the couch I was sleeping on that night. The yawns come at about 8:30 now. The pregame is no longer, there's no more pre-gaming.
Correct.
The pregame starts when you're eating dinner and you have the first beer.
Yeah.
That your pregame started. Then
the coffee with dessert, so you stay up.
The yawns start about 8:30, and then it's just it's an internal conversation of like, I gotta make it to at least 10. We made it till we didn't get home until like 1:45 that first night, so I think that's like impressive.
I think that's pretty good. Fast
forward to Saturday night, and we had plans of going. We went to dinner to watch the Alabama LSU game, and then
Kaylee's right. Espresso martinis are big for the olds.
Yeah, we wanted to get an Uber to go downtown. That Uber ended up taking us back home.
Okay.
We were back home by 9:30. Yeah, 9:30. We were back home on Saturday night, and we turned on Elf and went to sleep.
Classic.
So we were probably knocked out by 10 o'clock on Saturday night.
Now, fair or foul, this is for the chat, watching Elf before Thanksgiving. And this is the creep of Christmas is we just had Halloween.
We did just have how. So here's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
My whole life, I was raised in a house where the Christmas tree did not go up until the day after Thanksgiving. You did Halloween.
We were raised similarly.
You transitioned from Halloween, like on November 1st, there's a transition from like spooky skeletons to like you're all in on like mums and still some pumpkin remnants, but it's more just like a hardcore fall scene. You did that up to Thanksgiving. You eat your Thanksgiving dinner. Maybe if you're like got some drinks in you and you're like feeling like, hey, I'm up right now, maybe put up the Christmas tree immediately following dinner or the next day, depending on how you're feeling. So in our household this year, the Christmas tree went up November 1st. We're on an accelerated timeline this year. And
really?
Yes. And people close to me can attest that I'm usually a Scrooge. I don't like Christmas music, but I bought in this year. I've bought in fully.
I like to hear that.
November 1st, we were playing Christmas.
Some Christmas cheer.
It was a, hey, Alexa, play Christmas classics. This Alexa does not need to do that. Alexa off. Trying to get copyrighted here. Hey, Alexa. Just turn the music off, please.
It's a good for live. It's a good live moment.
Colin, I hope you really enjoy Magic Kingdom. So anyway, we had the Christmas music playing, put up the tree. No ornaments on yet. So like
just have a tree.
So it's just the tree and lights right now. So we haven't fully committed. Okay. Angel's not on yet, but we have like the base layer of Christmas is started. Kaylee started. Reef's not up yet. I think the reef's probably coming up tomorrow. But we're kind of skipping. We're kind of skipping Thanksgiving. I'm still going to partake in Thanksgiving. Yes. So typically,
tomorrow you're doing ornaments. You see that?
I see that. So typically I would do, after Thanksgiving's Christmas. But given the fact that last year we did not get to participate in Christmas. Last year our Christmas was a chapel service.
Yes, we did that.
Into charcuterie board that got shipped across the country.
The charcuterie board is delicious.
Thank you. And then I think we watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and went to sleep.
And played Madden. Yes.
That was our Christmas last year. So I owed it to my wife. So this year, like, I'm cool with it. The issue is going to be next year.
Sure.
That's going to be a conversation because I've set a precedent now. And as you know, in your line of work, precedent's important.
It's hard to roll back from precedent.
I've lost a lot of leverage for next year. Back to your point, fair or foul, watching Elf on November 9th. It's still a Will Ferrell classic.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It's a Will Ferrell classic. Yeah. My celebrity crush, Zooey Deschanel's in it. So
really? I didn't know. This is new for me.
Perfect.
So you love New Girl.
I've dabbled.
Yep.
I've dabbled. So it's really a perfect. We'll be moving, so they won't be. It's really a perfect movie to watch. We only watched the first like 20 minutes. We passed out.
Yeah.
But no, it's typically foul. This year, fair.
That's fair.
Do you know? So we get home tonight. I know what my neighbor's opinion on this is. My neighbor has erected in their front yard it's huge. It's a huge Santa blow up with a turkey on top of Santa, crushing him in the head with like a hammer.
Oh, so he's a Thanksgiving guy.
With a 360 perimeter of pumpkins around it. So there might be some neighbor wars when the Christmas tree and the Christmas lights come out. It's in the next week or two, and they have a turkey making assault on Santa Claus next door. My daughters are petrified.
I'm surprised they allow that on post.
It's very aggressive.
Yes.
So now I was typically a Christmas after Thanksgiving guy. Coming home and seeing them put that staunch of a statement makes me want to go all the way in. Christmas with the crank style. Like, I want to be seen.
You do have that type of personality of, you did that, I'm going to go harder in the paint. Yes.
And, it's no hate, all love, but don't tell me how to support my holidays.
Right.
My house, my choice.
It's your castle.
Yeah. I'm a big your house, your choice guy, So I think the Christmas lights might come up, and I think we might get real obnoxious with it.
You're going to go like Clark Griswold.
Yeah. And I want the husband's name was Todd. I can't remember the wife's name of that movie.
Margot.
Yes,
one of the best lines of all time.
I want a Todd and Margot situation next door while I'm just jolly.
Hey, Griswold, we're going to put a tree that big.
You know where it's going. We can't say it on the podcast. So yeah, we're going to do that. Here's the best thing. We put up the tree, and then 4 days later, Kaylee's at Hobby Lobby sending me pictures of other trees. So she's already trying to replace the tree that we've already put up this Christmas.
How's it make you feel?
It makes you feel like the tree's inadequate. But I would argue she bought the tree last year while I was in Poland. So maybe she should have done some more reconnaissance on what kind of tree she wanted for the living room.
So you have no choice in this tree.
I did not have a say in this tree. Sparky. What a good movie. I told Kaylee we're going to do a Christmas movie every weekend.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We need to finish Elf. Probably do that tomorrow. No, but yeah, so Christmas, it's coming. It's November now. We're going to try to...
it's smaller than I anticipated.
You don't got to tell all the lies in here. So I may or may not have said that, hypothetically. So Christmas is coming. Thanksgiving's coming. There's great football, great basketball. Yep. This is the best time of the year for sports, best time of the year for families. Work kind of tends to slow down, as we get closer to Thanksgiving and the holidays. Those exciting times. Hopefully, like I said, we're going to try to solidify a schedule to give some people some more, know when to expect to hear us, so you can hopefully move your schedule around to listen to us. But as always, you can always listen to us on YouTube live. If you don't catch us on live on YouTube, Dan, since Colin is going to be at Epcot, we'll do the producing. He'll make sure it's uploaded onto YouTube video uploads.
Yep.
You can listen to us on Spotify. The Spotify link will get shared out.
We're up next day on Spotify. So on your drives to work, drive home.
So make sure subscribe on YouTube, rate us and subscribe, and download on Spotify, and do all those things. Follow us on socials, We Lose Sports and You. We'll make sure that we link our socials and Spotify in the description of this video, as well as our Spotify upload as well.
And when do you expect we'll be going live next for our listeners?
I would really like to see a Thursday live for us, if we can get that worked out. Hopefully when our producer gets back from Orlando, he'll be able to start posting on our socials again and showing us when to expect us, and y'all can like and subscribe. He's got 24 hours to respond, see if he listens to the show. If not, Gavin.
We're hiring Gavin at $7.25 an hour.
Next man up, Gavin. So we already got your rate figured out, so we'll get that squared away. But yeah, we appreciate you guys listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on all the socials, and I hope you have a great evening. Thank you.